Welcome to Sig's Corner. Any views expressed, thoughts, and opinions are all my own. Anything I talk about potentially on the channel or social media in general are my own personal beliefs and expressed feelings. Enjoy. Alright. So of course I start talking when walking through the leaves. Doesn't mean I'll use it. Haven't edited these things yet though when I've posted them, so what makes me think this will be different? Yeah, I don't know. So, our adventure started with rescuing a red squirrel from a trap that was set up on the porch. My Allie's grandfather. Oh, for the property. There was, I guess, a rat that he saw. So for the most part, the chipmunks and the squirrels seemed to be pretty aware, and had been ignoring the baited traps, even the have-a-heart trap. But, yep, as soon as we started outside today, I heard a weird noise, and there was a little clickety-clack going on, along with a scurry. And I looked up and saw this little guy up in the tree. He eventually was not really trying to come down, but was looking at me and facing downward, and kind of fell out of the tree. I was able to grab him, grab the trap itself, and release him. Fairly easy, thankfully. It was a more modern snap type device, for what that's worth. But yeah, the little guy's paw was probably crushed. Didn't see any blood, so that was good. Don't think he started trying to get to a crazy part of ripping his arm off to save himself at that point. But yeah, it's just like everything, though. Free is usually too good to be true. If you know what the terms are for free up front, within reason. But if you see something just on the side of the road that says free, it's best to probably ignore it. It would be nice if life was like a video game, though, right? And there's side quests and all these other things that legitimately gave us XP and finances. Yeah, probably should edit this. But yeah, that was how the day started, within reason. I was able to save a little woodland creature. But hopefully he'll be smart enough to leave them alone. There's been a couple of cats that are around the property. Got a car coming. But yeah, where was I? I don't even remember. Woodland creature, saving little guy. Ignore things, side quests, blah blah blah. Finances, financial gains. If there's a chest on the side of the road, even if it doesn't have a padlock on it, unless you're purposely going geocaching for something and you know what you're looking for and they're supposed to be, or you're looking purposely for buried treasure, if one just magically appears in your path, it's probably not a good thing. But what do I know? It's not like I've had one appear in my path to guide me anyway, so. Again, he has led me to $100 before. Don't know though. If there's anything that I don't even know if there's anything that could show that this was real and not just a simulation of some sort. Too many weird things keep happening. Synchronicities. Like that. Got a red squirrel that's going up the tree. And what he's got in the road. But so are we turning around or we continue on? What are we doing? Going or going? Okay. If we're going, we're going. Good boy. But yeah, there's distractions along with the synchronicities sometimes. And I don't know if this has been disturbed by people or if this has been animals. That's been there now for over a month. I have to assume that it's just there at this point. But no, last night I called into the Dark Brandon show again. This time I actually had a topic that I planned to talk about. It was going on the whole premise bit that society as a whole, that's still there. Huh. I told Border Patrol about it. Either, again, have to really look at my stuff and compare, I guess. See if there's anything. Got a car coming this direction. Maybe it's going to be Border Patrol, or it'll be the truck that just went by before. One or the other. I'll keep recording in the meantime. But even this, things keep happening. No, that was a new one. Or at least a different one than what I was expecting to see. So we'll probably end up turning around up here. Alright, so those are the boots. There's the shoes. Still basically where they were, look completely undisturbed. And I'm not brave enough to yet. Ultimately, that's what it comes down to. I know there's a camera on the property here at the very least that I've seen disguised along the wood line there. Yep, these shoes are still here as well. Water's come up a little bit from the rain. So that's a good thing. Alright, come on. We're turning around. Come on. Good boy. Come on, out front. No, come on, this way. This is always a bit of a chore sometimes, getting to make the proper return trip. Come on, bub. Come on. Let's go. Come on. I know. Come on. There's potential of rain and stuff. What do we got here? Pants. Shorts of some kind. Either kids or smaller individual, petite individual. Would that be the correct way of putting it? But yeah, even calling in last night to the Dark Brandon show, my phone glitched. It wouldn't, like I watched it show a notification showing that I had missed the call, but it never rang. And as I was seeing that on my phone, I'm trying to get it to answer and ended up calling them back and probably left a obscure almost minute voicemail on their number because I was looking at the television and being like, no, I'm right there, I'm here, I'm trying, it's literally, it didn't come through. And they did call me back, and I was the last person on the show for the evening, and talked about the political side of things in a sense of how the country as a whole is divided almost on purpose at this point, and 250 years has been a good run, but ultimately we're at a point now where this is the jumping point. You know, we have a chance to right the wrongs and look at things and objectively show and say, these are the things that work, these are the things that don't work at this large a scale. Because when things were originally written, they said at some point it would need to be looked at. And that didn't mean just putting amendments in and everything else. That meant actually taking a good hard look at our republic as a whole and what democracy stands for and is as a whole, as compared to an idea. So we're well past the idea stage. And again, we're too big for our britches now. On the show I called into last night, one of the people in their conversation, it was brought up that the size of our nation as a whole, as a country, as it were, would be broken down into much smaller independent countries, still again under the same continental rule within reason, but their own entities. Something needs to change. What it is, I don't fully know. My suggestion was we need blended systems. We need blended parties. We don't need a third party. We don't need an independent party. We legitimately need a Democratic and Republican, a Republican and a Democratic, or a Democrat. I don't like using liberal and conservative and all the other tags. But ultimately, my point was that we need to have a leading body that, you know, at the top, the president and vice president, it should be a Republican and a Democrat. How it is, you know, that's for the general public to decide. And sure, there can still be traditional same-party tickets. But I really think that if we're going to move forward and actually have communication and a dialogue, it needs to start there. We need to lead by example. Yet another car. And yet another. That was 3 unique vehicles. Which, in and of itself, is strange. Especially for a Monday. But no, it was a good conversation though last night. There was about 150 people watching at the end, I believe. And hopefully what I say in some way resonates with somebody. Hopefully my message in these somebody's hearing that wants to. And if not, well, I didn't do nothing. For what it's worth. Not that it's worth that much anymore. Yeah, the clouds have really moved in. I've been racing against rain potentially today. Okay, so absolutely editing this one at the very least, because I had to stop recording for a second. But yeah, calling into the show, it's one of those weird things where if I was trying to speak in front of even a small group of people that I knew, I'd have a hard time talking and saying what I was saying. But because it was over the phone, it's another car. Holy cow. Yeah, this is quite unusual. And that almost felt like they swung inward ever so slightly. I don't know. But yeah, calling into the show as a way of trying to at least get my ideas out there, because I know I'm not the only person that's had this idea, and there's probably a million reasons why everybody would say it wouldn't work or it shouldn't work or blah blah blah, and that's fine, but we need to have a conversation. And that was the kind of underlying theme of last night's live stream as well, that communication is the biggest thing that's lost. And somebody just trying to be louder to get attention, that's what you do when you're a toddler. And I've had to do it numerous times in my adult life, and it sucks. And pointing out that I'm only matching what you're giving. If you get loud, I'm going to match your loudness. If you get aggressive, in real life interactions, I'm a mirror. I'm a mimic, I'm an emulator. What was a survival tactic as a child, I now understand to be a autistic trait that, again, so many things in this world right now, this reality, could be, hold on, let's just get a branch out of the road. But there's so many things in this reality, in this world, that if people took the time to actually communicate, instead of getting aggressive and getting upset and their ego being hurt, even my doing these videos and all this, part of me doesn't want to ever post or do any of this because it feels like I'm feeding my ego. And I do not want to. In no way am I trying to be the voice of the voiceless in some way, shape, or form. But I am trying to at least acknowledge and have a conversation with those that don't believe that these sort of things happen to people. That sometimes for no real reason, every single thing just falls apart and goes wrong. Every good intention is met with trials and tribulations and adversity. But ultimately, I don't ever want to be that catalyst, in a sense. I'm very aware of my words, and when I'm around individuals, especially younger than myself, I'm very cognizant of the fact I can influence what they're thinking by my actions, by my words. But that's also my inaction, by my lack of response, is also just as big of a factor. And that's the thing that is being missed, I feel, right now. And I know I'm not the only person that sees it, because I am starting to happen across individuals saying the same things I've been saying. They're all not saying the exact same things, and not all of them are all saying the same thing. But ultimately, what I'm saying is out there. So I don't need to make sure that what I'm saying gets heard. Hopefully it's being heard by the ones that need to hear it. Oh, hello, helicopter. Yeah, so this will definitely, I'll have to edit the heck out of this, and I'll probably end up posting the whole unedited type of thing. Because I always like to rather have the raw footage out there for my own personal archival purposes, in a sense. I definitely use social media in a very unique way for myself, where again, so many things I need to eventually talk about, especially on the autism side of things. The discovery of that in my life is just, that's a story. It's one of those things where I want to tell it, but I'm just afraid of it actually being out there and being public more than anything else. Let's see if I can actually catch a glimpse of I don't know if it came through on camera or not. Again, I could see it with my eyes where I was looking. At least twice daily. Border life. Thankfully, he's completely unfazed. But no, the discovery of my labeling or diagnosis of being autistic was something that only happened because, all right, come on, let's get up here. The discovery of my being diagnosed, labeled autistic as an adolescent came when I was denied assistance through social services. They accused me of making fraudulent claims that I never received financial assistance, even though I explicitly told them in my interview and all the stuff that was recorded in the little room in their office building. This was pre-COVID, mind you, and they already had the bulletproof glass and all that type of stuff blocking at this location that I was dealing with, which was completely insane to me, because in all the stuff I had dealt with in my hometown, in my adult life, we didn't have that there still. And it wasn't until COVID that they had any sort of protective barriers up. But anyway, they accused me of making a fraudulent claim. And because of that, I received a letter from the Department of Social Services in my hometown from when I was a child, an adolescent, an award of the state. And within a redacted form, it had autism, along with ADHD and bipolar depression. But ultimately, that was my discovery, the arrival in my understanding and knowing that I had a reason for all the things that I did. That when I started working for the art, working with people with developmental disabilities, that when I stumbled upon this test back in 2008 that showed where you might fall, on the autism spectrum, my results were skewed in a way where it was just straight up clear as day. There was nothing normal about my thinking. The term neurodivergent and neurodivergent, it's just a term to try to make something less stigmatic while also bringing its own stigma to it. I swear it's because it's cold outside and not because I'm emotional. Even though it probably is a little bit of both. Come on, bud. Come on. Out. Come on. There you go. Out front. But yeah, so that's that part, I guess, or the starting of that part. Back in 2019, around this very time of year, is when I was denied help and assistance, and my life has fallen into a tailspin and nothing but a burden on those around me. All my friendships have absolved. I'm fortunate that I have Allie, but I almost think that sometimes it's only because I take care of him. And that's what's sad. But even acknowledging that makes zero difference, right? Ultimately, it doesn't change. Yes, this is definitely because it's emotional. But no, I've lost all my autonomy. I've lost every bit of who I was and what made me in such a way that I can't even begin to properly. Come on, let's go. Jeez. Again, I'm trying to actually say something, and I can't get him to cooperate, so I can't get my thought out. This is just like everything else, I swear. Come on. I need to try to do this witut don't be walking him. But every time I do, I can't finish. And then I don't publish it anyway. Because nobody cares. Nobody's listening. Nobody's watching. Which is why I should just publish it all without editing, without giving a fuck. Because nobody else does. Nobody else really wants to care. Nobody else wants to help. Everybody just talks a big game. And again, I'm at least trying. That's all I can do at the moment. I have no other means. I'm trapped in a 500 square foot room. That's been my life for over a year and a half. To anybody that does care. Yeah. There's some of the truth for you. Alright. Yeah, I need to end this. Thanks for watching, I guess. If you did, I do appreciate it. Again, I'm not looking for sympathy. I'm not looking for empathy even. I'm not looking for anything other than just being treated like a human being. I don't understand why that's so hard. I don't understand why that's been so difficult for people to do. But if you did, thanks for watching. Be safe.